Hello.
Hi. Hey, Louise.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, everybody else who's joining us out in the world, out in the interwebs and internets and wherever you are.
All those places.
All the places. Look, it's just you and I today.
It is. What happened? Here we are, just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
Building. Oh, we better not
Castles in the
sing them.
sky.
I'll have to pay
No,
royalties.
exactly. Oops. All right. So welcome to Kickass Conversations with Louise and Kim. Here we are. It is just Louise and Kim. I forgot my own name, apparently. Louise and Kim today. We are not joined by a guest at the table, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to still have a kick-ass conversation. We're super excited to do that. Unfortunately, the guest that we did have scheduled for today had a last-minute cancellation, and we are sad for that, but we are also happy that we are here together with you and with each other, and we're looking forward to digging into talking about all things synergy.
Yes, because that's what this is, right? You and I, and how we've leveraged synergy in our businesses. So yeah, that's fantastic. Let's start today, like we start every episode. Kim, what are you celebrating today?
My birthday. It's on Sunday. I don't care that I'm over 50. I get to still celebrate my birthday. And so that's what I'm celebrating today. I'm celebrating we're going out of town for my birthday. I'm celebrating that I took a week off next week. I will still be somewhat working, but it's going to be like small pockets of work next week. Took off the first couple of days to do family vacation, and then the rest of the week taking off to just have it at my own pace. Felt a little bit guilty for a hot minute about that, given that I had been sick and I took a little bit of time off for that in February. But I said, no, not going to feel guilty. This is what I need. I need a reset of a different kind. And so I'm celebrating that as well. So I'm looking forward to it. What
That's
are you
fantastic.
celebrating?
Before I jump in, I just want to say we often do that, and we confuse sick days with holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We do that all the time in our work lives, and to say, "I can't take my holidays because I was sick. I'm already behind," or whatever that looks like, and that's just not the case. That sick is meant for getting non-sick
You're right. Still
before
working
the
on it.
holidays.
Still working on it.
So, what am I celebrating? I am celebrating, sunshine and puppy dogs today, but also too I think I would like, and you're gonna say bullshit, but I'm gonna say I'm celebrating balance.
Oh, bullshit. Depends. Talk to me about balance. How do you mean it?
Yeah, so I guess it's really about just understanding that there is a oftentimes as an entrepreneur and a business owner, I can get into work and do work um a lot of the day, right? A lot of the day, a lot of the evening. If I have some extra space or I think of something, I'm like, yeah, I want to do that and jump in. And I've noticed over the last little while that that's just not giving me a recharge. It's not allowing me that separation of time to be able to kind of not just unplug, but to actually synthesize some of the things that I've been doing. And we miss that sometimes when we are always in the thing. Like this happens with when I do renovations, and it happens with other projects, is that when we're always in the thing, we can't uh, sometimes see problems. We can't see obstacles because we're too close to it. And we need to kind of step out and have a look. And so this week has been about figuring that out for me and saying, like, even though I'm really excited about something in my business, or I'm really energized by doing that, I still need the time to step away from it. And it's not just unplugging, but it's actually like literally stepping away so that I have that opportunity to see things differently. So that's what I'm celebrating. Is that bullshit?
No, that's not bullshit. That sounds like, whether you want to use the word balance or whatever word you want to use right there, that to me sounds like self-care. It really does. It sounds like, mental, physical, emotional, energetic preservation. And it's the same thing that I'm talking about, right? Where I'm celebrating taking next week off.
Yeah.
Yes, I have some planned pockets of work that are intentional thought times that are around. So our daughter is off for spring break next week. And very often when she's off, I don't change up my schedule that much. And so it was really important to me, even though we're going to be home for half of the week, that I actually change up my schedule so that I can be with her and enjoy her. And so I said, you plan where you want to go do other things. I will plan my work time around that. And some of it has been planned work time and some of it is planned screw around time, like to do whatever I want to do.
Mhm.
And so to me, what you're saying is very much in alignment with that as well, is finding those pockets where we say, I'm disconnecting from this thing so I can connect into this thing. And so, yeah, if you want to use the word balance for that, the reason why I hate the word balance in general is because it automatically creates tension. When we're, like a scale that's balanced, there's tension on one side or the other to try and bring it into balance. If we're doing tree pose or any other yoga pose that's a balance pose, our muscles are contracting to create. So we're getting into tension to create, even though we're supposed to relax, there's part of us that's in tension to create balance. And so to me, this idea, um, this vision of what balance needs to be, that we all need to have this balance and it's all going to be free flowing and calm, that to me is not balance. Balance comes with an inherent tension. And so I don't know that I would use the word balance, but it's your life. You get to use whatever word you want.
Yeah. It's interesting too because balance, when you look at it like a scale, when
Mhm.
we are in balance, there is no movement.
Right.
Right? It's this static place. Even in yoga, when you're doing those poses, like there is no movement. And I like to think of it more like flow,
Mhm.
when you can find the flow. And so, yeah, this last week has been about that, being really intentional about where I'm putting my time and my energy, um, and where I'm not putting my time and energy. And I think that was a big kind of switch for me. It's not just where am I focused or what am I doing, but what am I not doing? And that's
Mhm.
okay, right? And but bringing that in, as well.
Yeah, so I'm hearing a lot of intention, right?
Yeah,
Where our attention goes, right?
yeah.
Is where we're gonna be creating that momentum. So if our attention is only on one thing, that is creating something static as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, so what a great segue into the synergy conversation.
Mhm.
I love the word synergy because it sounds like energy,
Yeah,
right? Like, I don't
yeah.
know, was that intentional? I didn't Google the word or the origins, but it really does like pull in for me a lot of this idea of this energy and this movement.
Mhm.
Um, Tell me a little bit. I'm really curious about where lately have you found synergy? Like just this idea of like where do we look, or what corners does synergy even live in?
Yeah, so I think, just like how I think of synergy, I think of synergy as the coming together of one or more parties, people generally speaking, but it can be ideas, it can be concepts, it can be other things coming together to create a new whole. Where I've been finding it, I've definitely been finding it in our relationship, both inside of our business and personally. I've been finding a lot of synergies. Where can we energetically support one another? How do we move projects and pieces of our business forward utilizing both of our energies, using both of our skills, talents, and other aspects of ourself. So having that ability to kind of pull it together. Again, I've seen it. most closely with us because as we've been in launch mode, we spend a lot of time together already, but it's like really intense time over the last couple of weeks. So that's where I'm feeling it the most. I will say also, familial synergies, right? Having that ability to kind of create some synergy within our family unit. My husband travels a lot. And so, where do we find the synergies to lean into when he's here, when he's not here? The synergies that my daughter and I have in the same thing. So, finding those ways to, and I love the fact, I agree, the word brings with it energy itself. But for me, synergy is it's this visceral visual thing that I see where I can actually see that energies moving back and forth and operating together to create something, to move towards an end. How about for you? Where is it showing up for you and how is it showing up?
It's interesting because I think there's two kind of ways I see synergy, and one is absolutely almost like a magnification of like when two things come together, right? Like,
Mhm.
and so, right, person A and person B are doing these things, and there's this amount of energy that goes into that task. But when you bring those people together and you complete that task or something, it's a new kind of energy. And it's less than, right? It's
Mm.
easier than doing things separately.
Mhm.
And so there's this idea that there's actually less energy required, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I think the opposite is also true, is that when two things kind of collide together, there's even more energy now available. That there's this magnification of the energy that can go into something. And so that thing is bigger or better or bolder than it was if these two parties were trying to tackle it on their own, right? So
Mhm.
I think it's both. It's about an ease. Sometimes it's about an ease, and then sometimes it's almost like an explosion. But I
Mm.
think there's those two kind of ways I think about synergy. But again, it comes back to like the amount of energy before the coupling. I don't, can we say coupling? The amount of synergy before the coupling, right? Or energy is different than what it is after. Um, but I see it in those two ways. When we think about, how do we leverage, like you and I have talked about in our businesses, how do we leverage what each other is doing so that it eases some of the crunchy places that the other person has, right?
Mhm.
We're already doing things, and this is great. Like masterminds are great for this, right? A real coupling of folks that have different strengths, different areas, and so how can you come together so that, right, you find that ease or that flow together. But then also, there's great joint venture projects that
Mhm.
really can ignite and not be possible by each individual on their own, or it would take so much more energy to do a launch or to do something like that. I rely on the synergy I have with folks who follow me on LinkedIn or right anything like that, people who comment or share their ideas or their thoughts on my post. Like that's synergy too, right?
Mhm.
In its basic form is that an idea that is shared and that is added on, it's magnified, more people see it. Like it's also that too, where now our impact is a little bit different, or our purpose has a little bit louder voice because there's a synergy there. So I don't know that we have to know the person, right? Like it doesn't have to be
Truth.
like a partnership between like besties, like this is,
Mhm.
versus like a synergy and places we can find that in all kinds of little corners uh, in what we're doing.
Absolutely. Well, I'd like to thank my husband for sharing the definition. Although what I think what we were looking for was the etymology, like where did the word come from? But the definition in Merriam-Webster is a mutually advantageous conjunction or compatibility of distinct business participants or elements, such as resources or efforts. And so this is on a business focus, which absolutely it is. So thank you, honey, for that. I appreciate that. There's this idea that that mutually advantageous, and you mentioned masterminds, and one of the other places that I've seen it recently, which was very cool, was I did launch a new mastermind, and what I've seen is the individuals who are coming together offline, right? There's the synergy when we're together, which is amazing. And there's new ideas, and there's new opportunities for collaboration. There's new opportunities for connection and amplification happening within the mastermind. And beyond that are these amazing synergies that are happening where they're connecting to support one another. And they're both getting, so that's the mutually advantageous part of it. They're both getting something from it. May not be immediate, but they're working together to create something new that didn't previously exist. And it's really, I think there's so much competition in the world that this idea of working together, as you mentioned, it doesn't have to be with besties. It can be with people you meet. It can be with people you're partnered with that you don't know. But creating an opportunity to find the synergy in the relationship and in what you're working on together allows that growth to be exponential for each individual, let alone for the project. That's that ease and amplification that you were talking about.
Yeah. Do you think that people who come together to form this synergistic relationship, does it have to be towards the same outcome?
So, I mean, if we look just at the definition, right, they're coming together with different needs, and then they're working together. So the working together, I believe there is some sort of shared outcome that may not be the ultimate goal for each individual or each participant that's taking part, but there is some sort of shared outcome. Each participant, in my opinion, does have their own outcome as well that wouldn't have existed but for this relationship. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, and I think the reason I ask that is because I see a lot of my clients like in corporate. We talk about finding ways to kind of light the fire right under, right? Kind of leaning into, I know I'm doing, I know I can do this stuff, but I'm not doing this stuff, right? I need a little bit more accountability. And so we talk about accountability buddies, and we talk about accountability groups, and where can we find even some co-working space sometimes virtually, is really about being accountable to someone outside of ourselves, because sometimes we need that. And I feel like that's also synergistic in that relationship. And although we might not have the same outcome, so I might need you to help me be accountable for showing up on LinkedIn and what's my whatever process there. Maybe someone else needs like, hey, like I'm really struggling with making conscious connections or reaching out. So can you help me with that? And so we come together to make things a little bit easier, and rely on the other one to hold us accountable, and move us through a crunchy spot. And I feel like that's a little synergistic as well, is that we are creating something that we couldn't necessarily create on our own. We're asking for a little bit of extra energy or a boost or something to get us past that obstacle that we're so much struggling with, and to really step into something. But then when that's done, then we part, or we come up with another problem that we need to work through. But I do find like that is a little bit of sharing your energy with someone in a way that like really is not taking any energy from you, right? To show up as an accountability buddy, it's just like, tell me what you want to work on. Tell me what you're struggling with. so that I can check in with you. I don't have any solutions,
Mhm.
but I will actually hold you accountable for what you're going to say and encourage you towards action, which is sometimes that igniter that can
Mhm.
get us through that.
It's interesting. I don't think I ever would have thought of accountability, as in part of the synergy bucket. Um, Absolutely can see how that would be synergistic, because I think if it is purely to come, to a mutual conclusion, right? That's collaboration.
Right.
Right? So that is, well, they are aligned, you want synergistic energy ideally in a collaboration. A collaboration is working towards a purely shared outcome. So I think that the shared outcome, in the sense that I was talking about before, where you just shared with accountability, what it brought to mind is, there is, with accountability, there is a shared outcome in that you're both moving forward on your projects.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not that there's somebody there that's supporting you and you're just doing your thing,
Right.
right? Yeah. So I think of, so there's a co-working group that I'm a part of, and even when I host co-working groups, it is, um sometimes there's synergy and sometimes there's not, right? The synergy can come from when you share, this is what I'm going to work on. That's fantastic. How can I support you over the next hour? Great. That's what I'll do. This is what I'm working on. Could you support me in this way? That's a synergy. Versus if you show up and say, this is what I'm working on. How did I do at the end of the hour? I give myself an 8 out of 10. Right? That, to me, there's no synergy, because we're there together, but we're still separate. We're having a
Right.
shared experience, but it's not synergistic,
Right. That
right?
there's that exchange, there's that energy exchange. I think there's that word again, right?
Mhm.
When we are exchanging energies with someone else, then absolutely, I think there's a synergy there. But it's more than, right?
Mhm.
Or there's like we're different from before the coupling to after the coupling. I'm gonna just lean into that word. We're different. We've shared an energy, and then somehow it's different at the end. I think there's actually like a change, because if there isn't, then there's no, like, right, there's nothing there. There's nothing, like, we could have done it on our own kind
Right,
of
it
thing,
goes back to that static space that
right?
we were talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
It's
yeah,
interesting. So how do you encourage people to be synergistic?
it's the idea of, like, I think finding places, not I think, I know. Finding places where there is some crunch is always, I think, the place to start. In where do I need help, right? In partnering, or someone being able to create something new together. It comes back to, where's the crunch and what am I not doing? And I think those are two great places to explore a little bit more around, now, how can I find someone or something that can really help me through this? And we're talking about someone, right? We're talking about
Mhm.
partnerships and collaborations, even teams, right? It doesn't have to just be a one on one,
Right.
it can be more than that. And so understanding that, like, there's a very specific need that needs to be addressed, that you're not able to move forward in a manner that you want. Maybe it's too slow, maybe it's not happening at all. You need some extra fuel in your tank, and that's where that partner can, or that team can come in to help you out. And I think there's all kinds of places to kind of look for these synergistic partnerships, and not just in building your own business, but also in your leadership or at work, is finding people that are either experiencing something similar. So
Mhm.
finding groups where people are talking about the same problem or the same thing. um, I think also too is finding people who are different than you, because then that's also a meshing of like different strengths that come into play. And I think if we surround ourselves just by people who have our same strengths and our same similar talents or gifts, then we fall into a trap of like not 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 really creating the synergy that we want, because maybe that person um, actually doesn't bring enough to the table,
Mm.
or can't help us get through our mind junk because they see it too, right? And so I think that there's two places to kind of explore, is to say who has a similar problem, who can help me, but also like who's so different from me, that they'd also be able to help me, and how can I help them?
Mhm.
Because sometimes that is also the place to explore, is to say like what are my strengths, what is the problem that I can solve, and to go out there and find people with that problem, so that you can bring those people closer into your collaboration bubble, people who want to collaborate.
Yeah. Well, and that's why we set up the Kickass Collective, our online membership community, the way that we did was so that we could have divergent, different perspectives, right? Employees and entrepreneurs. We want people who work to come together with all of the different perspectives that they have to talk about how to do work differently, right? In this synergistic fashion to create something that is new for everybody, right? So they have their own story to tell on how to get that support that they need to show up in the world of work differently. So that in and of itself creates that synergy from that divergent point of view,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Because
Right.
sometimes we do need people who are going through the same problem as us to be able to come together, right?
Mhm,
So that's why we have those two groups
mhm,
in our collective. But I see it often in other associations, right, where you are able to come together with a very specific problem or need. And when you have other people who've either already been through it or just have a completely different perspective, they ask the best questions,
yeah.
because it is a different perspective, and that does create that synergy. There's really that exchange, and we're
Mhm,
all there for each other, right? In our collective, that's why it's called a collective, right? Is because we collectively move towards a change in the way we work at work,
mhm.
and we do that together, individually, because it's very individual.
Very
we're
individual.
we're it's not like we are all running a co-op, right? We don't all have a stake in the business, yet we all are striving towards the same objective, is to find work that fits and feels good, to create this new definition of what work is.
Yeah, absolutely. I it's interesting because as we're talking, so you were talking about finding those places where where there's crunch, right? And seeing where could you find some more ease? Who could help you? And I think about so many of my clients who are used to doing it all themselves. They're used to figuring it like I will figure it out. I will get this done. I know how to do this. And kind of pushing through to do the thing, whatever the thing is themselves. And how challenging, right? They've identified there's a crunch, but how challenging it is to then take that extra step to say, where could I find more ease outside of myself? And I'm curious what you've seen to be helpful for individuals that are used to doing. You told me a story about a snowblower once, and so where do you have that ability to look outside of ourselves to find synergy so we can step into that place of ease when we're used to doing it ourselves?
Well, it's I think for many, when we are in that place where I can do it all myself, and I've been doing it myself for a long time,
Mhm.
and so I don't need support. I don't need help. That's a story we tell ourselves, right? I'm doing okay. And what we're talking about is like, we're not saying you're not doing okay. We're saying, like, how do you level it up? Right? How do you take this thing to the next level? How do you take your career to the next level? How do you take your business to the next level? Because that is important. Not everybody wants that, but
Mhm.
what we're talking about and the people we talk to, this is really what we're looking for. We actually are looking for amplification and a way to get there. And often I find for myself, because I am that person. I'll tell you about the snowblower some other time. But I do get very focused on, I can fix this is a problem that I fix,
Mhm.
right? I don't know. I had a broken snowblower. I don't know how to fix snowblowers. I'm just saying, just because I live in Winnipeg does not mean I know how to do that. Yet I thought I did, right? And I went down that path. And it's an understanding to say, and it's a pause to say, is this mine to fix,
Mhm.
first of all? And it gets really hard to ask for help or support sometimes. And I often find for myself and for many of my clients is that if I can't ask for help, I'm going to offer help instead. And when you can offer help and you can see how that impacts someone or impacts something, then we get to imagine, maybe through some coaching, how can now that support help me elevate? If I can offer support and I can see that thing or that person, right? Um, really elevate and amplify, what could that do for me? And to try it, right? We talk often about it's all just an experiment. And to see, right? Does a partnership actually amplify or create synergy,
Mm.
or does it drain you?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just don't know who that person is, or you don't know enough about that person, and that's okay, right? You learn about yourself, you learn about your problem, you learn about what you need to overcome your problem,
Mhm.
and then you take the next step and you figure that part out too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because so there is that place of offering help, which I love because that is one tactic for sure, is when you can see that you're helping somebody else, how do you start to accept that, oh, others might want to help me as well? And one of the ways that I help some of my clients and help myself get through this is where am I actually disempowering other people by not allowing them to help me? If right when you're running a team, whether it's, in whatever semblance you have a team, whether it's your business or you're a leader in somebody else's business, when you have a team that is working for you and you keep swooping in and fixing the problems, or you just kind of hold on to this type of work and just delegate out the little bits that need to be delegated out, you're disempowering the other people on the team. So, most of my clients, when we talk about this, it's this eye opening moment of, I didn't realize that by my holding on to this and doing this thing and trying to improve whatever it is we're working on by my continuing to do the work myself, that's disempowering others, allowing them to show up in their genius or even in their incompetence, quite frankly, is empowering to other people. And so, whether it is this idea of I can offer and then maybe learn how to be helped, or this idea of I want to empower my team, I really want them to be independent and to rise up and up level themselves. And the only way they can do that is if I let go, and letting go means stepping into synergy, means creating a shared space of energy exchange to work together towards whatever it is the projects are that are being worked on.
Yeah, I see it often with leaders and teams in all kinds of spaces, because there's this separation sometimes,
Mhm.
right? That I'm the leader, and then this is my zone, this is my genius, and I am telling my team what they need to do. And when you are at different levels, when you see things differently, the energy only flows one way.
Yeah.
right? And you can't build a synergistic team with energy only flowing one way. We just talked about that,
Mhm.
right? It's an exchange of energy. It's two way. And so understanding that, not just through empowerment, but through this balance, through this equalization, you can say, hey, like, I can give and I can take, like, right, like,
Mhm.
I get from my team and I give to my team, right, and the team does the same from you. I get and give, and it's this whole idea of this really shared place and shared space, because that energy is this way, it flows this way. Energy does not flow uphill very well. I don't know. It's like water. Um,
I don't know if that's true. So if you're an electrical engineer and you're listening, we are not claiming that to be true.
I don't know about electricity. I don't do that in my renovations. Um,
Thank God.
I love that disclaimer. Please no contractors reach out to us.
Well, you can if we can support you in any other way, but we are not going to talk to you about electricity because we know bupkis about it. That kind of electricity. We know about energetic electricity.
Yes.
But I get what you're saying, right? It's this idea that energy goes all sorts of ways, right? It's not just the coupling, right? Because a coupling can have a lot of different entrance points. And so the energy needs to be able to freely flow between all of those points to create that synergy. And wherever we are on a team, if we are the block to keeping that energy flowing, that's where we need to look into ourselves and say, how can I release this block so that energy can flow some more?
Ooh, I really like that, because the thing that came to my mind was the scarcity and abundance mindset,
Mhm.
right? We cannot create synergistic teams or synergistic partnerships if we feel like energy is scarce, or we feel like time is scarce, or we feel like, right, money is scarce.
Recognition. Yeah.
Plug plug in the word, right?
Yeah.
If we feel like something is scarce, we can't create that real true collaborative environment, that synergistic environment that many organizations and business owners really want. And when we come at it from a very abundant mindset, to see that it is flows this way and that way, right? That there is no restriction into what, not only what we want it to do, but what is possible.
Mhm.
And that gets into, right, like, I think synergy also leads into, like, our creative problem solving, and it really does elevate organizations to be leaders in their area, in their field, in their industry, because of this synergy and because of this energy, right? And how it all plays well together.
Yeah. Synergy thrives with a growth mindset. And on that note, what's your golden nugget?
I just really love this conversation around where, like, how important this synergy is, and that it's available in all kinds of places and spaces. We just have to look for it. We just have to pause for a moment and say, like, I need a little bit of help through this crunchy spot, or I really need help amplifying towards what it is that I really want. You got to know what you really want first. But I love that idea of, like, there's all kinds of places and spaces where synergistic partnerships or teams or groups or masterminds or whatever that is, like, they're all over the place. And we're just missing out on collecting some of that energy because we're so focused on, maybe fixing a snowblower.
Amen. Yeah, and I think my golden nugget is the last thing there. It was that, right? Synergy thrives with a growth mindset. It's that idea of understanding that there's possibility and that the more we give, the more we can receive and the more the energy can flow. So that's really my big takeaway from here. I have really enjoyed today's conversation. I also have enjoyed the fact that, so yesterday, if you were here last week, you saw that we were interviewing the wonderful Aideen Nirada. She is an intuitive voice coach, and she was actually inside the collective yesterday, giving us hands-on experiential training on how to utilize our voice physically, but also how that affects us psychologically, emotionally, energetically. And so it was an amazing opportunity to have some really great learning, quite frankly. And from now until Monday, March 6th, the doors are actually open to the collective. You can come in for a 2-week free trial. We would love to have you join us in there. Louise, what else do they get from being inside with us?
Us.
Yay, enough said.
So we do several monthly events to help folks, right? Not just through learnings, but through these workshops and coming together, being able to work through some of those crunchy bits with us. But also, we are, like, Kim and I aren't just facilitators here. We're actual members of the community too. And we get a lot from our community. And it is full of people who are looking to amplify and create their own kick-ass career. We have all kinds of resources available to collective members. We have our fabulous workshops. And we have the support of other people who are also going through we all share a journey, right? And we're all there to help and support each other. Did I miss something?
I don't think so. I mean, I think
Okay.
really the bottom line is that Louise and I are super passionate about the fact that we haven't for some time done work right. We're living in a world where work is quite literally killing us, or making us very, very sick. And that is not okay with either of us. We know there are better ways to create work, to show up for work, to support each other in the work that we do. And we both believe very strongly that we don't build our lives around the nooks and crannies in work. It's the other way around. We figure out how work can work for us in each of our individual lives for what we want to do and how we want to contribute in the world. So that's really the purpose and the reason why we came together, why we synergistically came together. It is for entrepreneurs and employees, whoever you are, if you work or you want to work, this is a place that you can come and figure out how to do it in a way that works for you. It's not easy. And yet when you figure out how to do it and you continue to explore it, it's a beautiful thing. And so we would love to have you come join us for the free 2 weeks and hopefully stick around for the long haul. So that is the web address to join us. We next week. Are you so excited? So interesting because it's about resourcing your energy, right? So we have been talking about how synergy is connected to energy. And so next week, we're really talking about resourcing your energy. And we're going to be joined by this woman called Shelly Smartley. If you've been on YouTube anytime in the recent 5-6 years, you will have seen the Smartleys out there. It is a YouTube TV show, and it is hysterical. And she is coming to join us. So we're so excited to have Shelly here next week when we are talking about resourcing your energy.
Lovely. Can't wait. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. Have a fabulous one. And don't forget to reach out and say hi and let us know how we might be able to support you.
100%. Okay, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye for now.